Good morning and welcome to you all. Just a few obligatory notices I need to read out for you before the ceremony begins. Can you please ensure that all mobile phones are on silent or switched off? Personal photography. There will be no personal photography permitted during the ceremony. The ceremony will be streamed live to YouTube and can be seen later on. Professional photographs are being made and taken during the ceremony. In the extremely unlikely event that we need to exit the church in an emergency, please remain seated until one of the marshals that you've seen coming in today, they'll direct you to the nearest exit point. When the ceremony is finished, the procession will leave the church and you'll be asked to stand. The procession will be followed by the graduands, or graduates, as they will be then, our VIPs, and then finally our guests. If children do become unsettled during the ceremony, unfortunately we will ask them to leave. Finally, to our graduands, may I be the first to congratulate you on your achievement today. When your name is called, please step onto the stage, shake hands with the Chancellor before looking at the camera, which will be here to my left. Again, official photographs are available for collection after the ceremony. Thank you. Can you please stand for the procession?
Please be seated.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Archer. I have the honour to be the Chancellor of the University, and in that capacity, I welcome you on behalf of the University to this ceremony for the conferment of degrees. Speaking to our graduands, soon-to-be graduates. Today is a very special occasion for you, and indeed for those who have taught you on the platform behind me. Attaining your degree from this university is a real achievement and something of which you will always be proud. As I think you know, here you have enjoyed the benefits of a very high standard of teaching from dedicated staff. And I know you will have studied hard to achieve your goals. I hope you've taken all the opportunities you could to be part of the diverse and multicultural student body, which will have introduced you to friends, people, experiences, traditions, and cultures from across the world. You are the latest in a long line of distinguished graduands, graduates, from the University of Buckingham. As you look back on your time here and remember the support and encouragement you received. We hope you will act as ambassadors for this university and continue to enhance our outstanding reputation. I congratulate each and every one of you and wish you all good fortune in your chosen careers and future lives, and I look forward to hearing more about that in the reception at the Beloff lawn after the ceremony. Thank you.
Dame Mary Archer, Lord and Lady Lingfield, Chair of Council Mark Coulter, Distinguished Honorary Graduate Andrew Halls, Dean of Education Professor Barnaby Lennon, Professor John McIntosh, distinguished guests from Buckingham, members of faculty, graduands, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Tooley. I'm the Vice-Chancellor, and I want to wish you the warmest congratulations. You and your loved ones can feel rightfully proud of your achievements that have brought you here today. You are graduating from our university in 2024, which is the 50th anniversary of the laying of our foundation stone by Lord Hailsham. When we meet afterwards in the reception on the Beloff lawn, you can see the foundation stone round the corner there. So that was 1974. In 1976, in February, the University College was to open to its first students. And the first matriculation speech was given from this very spot by one Margaret Thatcher. She was very closely involved with the university from the beginning. She helped us gain our Royal Charter in 1983, and when she retired from politics in 1992, she became our much-loved Chancellor, as indeed Dame Mary is a much-loved Chancellor to this day. Now, I know there may be mixed feelings about her, not Dame Mary, that is, Margaret Thatcher. And I was recently in a mining village in County Durham up north, and a gentleman walked past sporting a T-shirt emblazoned with the legend, "I still hate Margaret Thatcher." Compare that with, we had a visitor yesterday from an MP from Bahrain, the first cohort of women MPs, and she was thrilled to discover that there was this connection with what she called an international icon, and I quote, who had done so much for the cause of women. Margaret Thatcher told her local newspaper in 1970, "There will not be a woman prime minister in my lifetime because the male population is too prejudiced." 9 years later, in 1979, she was that first woman prime minister. And at Buckingham, we are proud to stand on the shoulders of giants like her, like so many people who have been a part of the family of our university. Those we admire exemplify values of leadership, resilience, determination, a will to make a difference, and a rage to live. And we can draw inspiration from their examples as we embark upon our own journeys of discovery and accomplishment. Now, this graduation service today is to confer degrees and other certificates in education. And this is particularly exciting to me because that's my academic discipline, and my life's work has been devoted to education. And in particular, I've been working in the poorest slums and rural villages of sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and Central America, exploring this strange phenomenon of ultra-low-cost private schools for the poor. My work first took me to the slums of Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, India, and also rural China, where I worked in Gansu province. And I published work saying private schools are good for the poor, independent schools are good for the poor. But people said to me, well, you haven't looked at the world's most disadvantaged children, have you? So I took that challenge seriously and continued my work in war-torn countries in Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, northern Nigeria, South Sudan, and Somalia. In all those places, I came across these entrepreneur-driven, low-cost private schools that it turned out, I think, are creating the holy grail of development, sustainable and scalable solutions. I created Change of these schools and federations. My proudest federation that I'm involved in is AFED, a wonderfully Nigerian name, the Association of Formidable Education Development, and that has 5,000 schools and nearly 1 million children. I've even created a relatively low-cost private school up in the north of England, which is why I happen to be in that village I mentioned earlier, mining village in County Durham. So it's all been immensely rewarding, and I list these things here to identify with you as graduands, but also to illustrate the extraordinary range and richness of things we do and can do as educators. The field of education is one where we can feel our lives are making a profound difference. In education, we hold the power to shape the future of our society. And with this privilege, of course, comes huge responsibility. We have the power to shape the minds and hearts of the next generation. We must enable them to understand our past, where we came from. We must enable them to understand the best that has been thought and said, whilst we move to nurture their dreams for the future. This is a tremendous responsibility. I know you education graduates are at various stages in your career, but moving through my career, I'm sure you're the same. You may have identified themes by which to live one's life. And if you'll indulge me, here are 3 or 4 themes that I'd like to share with you today. And in order to make this list meaningful, additionally meaningful, I hope to you, I framed the quotes I've used around people who were born on this day in history, September the 7th, or of events that took place on this day in history. So first, treasure time. We're not here for very long. When you are young, as most of you are, it seems as though life is stretching out ahead almost forever. When you look back on life as I'm doing now, it seems so short. And Pink Floyd, on their track Time, on the Dark Side of the Moon, captured it really well for me. I'll quote, "You are young and life is long, and there is time to kill today. And then one day you find 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. Don't miss the starting gun, and more importantly, realize that it's often you who has to fire the starting gun." Queen Elizabeth I put this thought particularly well. Born on this day, 7th September, in 1533, her last words are recorded. They may be apocryphal, but I love the words anyway. Her last words were, "All my possessions for a moment of time." On her deathbed, she was willing to give up all her considerable wealth just for an extra bit of time. Let's make the most of this precious thing, time. Second, grow from failure. You're going to start on ventures, whether your own business or employment or relationships, and you're going to fail. So when things go wrong, as they will, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all over again, in the words of the famous 1936 song. And David Packard, who created that wonderful company, Hewlett-Packard, the technology global business, born on this day, September the 7th, 1912, he said, "Take risks, ask big questions, don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you're not reaching far enough." I think that's very, very profound. I've learned from my many failures and mistakes in my life, and I never make those mistakes again. I make different ones instead. Third, nurture and protect character, our most important quality. On this day, September the 7th, in 1940, the Blitz began. This was when the German Luftwaffe launched a massive air raid on London and other British cities. The bombing continued for 76 consecutive nights, killing over 40,000 civilians. But you know that term, the Blitz spirit, it's often invoked to this day because of the spirit of the British people. They were not bowed by this. They came together in a spirit of unity and determination to get things done. And I think that's a lot to learn from the Blitz spirit, that resilience, that determination in adversity. And one of the most famous propaganda posters from that time, of course, was that one, "Keep calm and carry on," or as Trevor Slattery in Iron Man 3 might have put it, "Well, I panicked, but then I handled it." Finally, do live with being happy as one of your goals. No, sorry, not as one of your goals, but as one of your achievements. John Lennon, the Beatle, who was tragically murdered when he was age 40, not on this day in history, but I'm sure the Beatles were doing something immense around this day. He told the story, "When I was 5 years old, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment. Now I realize they didn't understand life." So being happy, this is where success is possible to every person. Friends and families, hold them close and arrive at that state which consists of contentment with what you've got and doing what you can for other people. So treasure time, learn from failure, build character, treasure again happiness. These are some of the lessons I've learned. And an overriding theme, I guess, could be always give 100%, unless you're giving blood. To conclude, our motto at Buckingham is Alice Proprius Volans, flying on our own wings in English. And I'd like to think that we've helped you get your wings, your degrees, your life experiences to help you to fly. But we also want to be part of your roots too. We want to give you reasons to come back, to stay physically and metaphorically. Do see yourselves as part of a growing international family of alumni at the University of Buckingham. At Buckingham, you were and will always be a name, not a number. I extend, I'm sure you have immense gratitude to your families and friends for supporting you, and I extend my deepest gratitude to the faculty, staff and mentors of the Faculty of Education who have guided you. So I wish you congratulations once again, and I look forward to when our paths one day will cross again. Thank you.
Chancellor, Dr. Trevor Ray, University Orator, will present Mr. Andrew Hall's OBE for the degree of Doctor of Education, Honoris Causa.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor. What is leadership? Now, please don't worry. That is purely a rhetorical question. I'm not expecting to see hands raised in the tradition amongst education establishments. But many scholars, thinkers, philosophers, business people, sports stars, military veterans, even politicians have written expansively on the subject. Indeed, do a quick search on Amazon and you'll find 60,000 books that you can purchase on the topic. And if you add to that the thousands of blogs, articles, websites, social media sites, you soon realize there is no shortage of words on this topic. But I would like to suggest this morning that should you wish to learn about the practical aspects of leadership, take a look at the career of our honorary graduate. Andrew Halls has consistently and persistently demonstrated what it is to be a leader throughout his career. And I would like to touch on just two of those aspects this morning. Firstly, though, a little history of Andrew's career. Who is he? He started teaching soon after achieving a double first at Cambridge, having read English. In only his second teaching post, he was appointed head of English and successfully transformed that department before moving to become deputy head at Trinity School in Croydon, a school that at that time was being led by our very own Dean of Faculty, Professor Lennon. Andrew then moved to Magdalen College School, generally referred to as MCS. And he moved at a time when that establishment was undergoing great change. A year later, he became master, the equivalent of head teacher. One of the changes he successfully brought in was to bring an end to Saturday school, something that I'm sure pupils and staff alike were heartbroken over. But it's interesting to note that at that time there was an immediate rise in academic results. But that rise wasn't just about no longer having to do lessons on a Saturday. It was far more to do with the first of the two traits of leadership that I would like to mention. Leaders have the ability to inspire others to be their best, to be ambitious, to be courageous in the decisions that they make, especially about themselves. This is what Andrew did for the pupils at MCS. And indeed, this is what he has done for every pupil he has taught or led. Yes, this encouragement at MCS certainly led to significant improvements in academic results, but it was also manifest in other ways across the school. Through the trust that Andrew built with the governors, because of his leadership, he was able to improve all aspects of the school, thereby ensuring opportunities for everyone to develop as an individual, to become the best they could, not simply turn up to study for exams. And it was this trait of leadership, inspiring those around him, that led to the success of MCS and it being awarded the Sunday Times Independent School of the Year in 2004. Andrew subsequently left that school, and he was encouraged back to London to take up the role of head at King's School, Wimbledon, a school founded many years ago by the then Prime Minister, the Duke of Wellington. And it was in this role that the second trait of leadership was so ably exhibited by Andrew. That of setting a clear vision for everyone to follow, making sure that everyone knows what good looks like. But it's not just setting that vision. It's about living it, breathing it, so that all those around you see how much you believe in it yourself and how hard you are willing to work to make it happen. By creating and communicating this vision, Andrew, along with his talented team, was able to restructure the school, improve performance, and make it one of the most successful schools in the country, if not the world. These achievements were recognised in 2014 when King's Wimbledon was awarded the Sunday Times School of the Year award, meaning that Andrew is the only head ever to win this honour twice for two different schools. But his leadership has not stopped there. He's the founding governor of the most successful state sixth form school in the UK. He's led the licensing of the King's Wimbledon brand to support schools in China and Thailand, the latter of which he remains honorary principal. And just as a small aside, Andrew's career has not gone unnoticed by others within the sector. And in the New Year's Honours List of 2020, he was awarded the OBE for services to education. So it is for these leadership skills, particularly within the education sector, his ability to inspire and develop others, whether they be staff or pupils, that make Andrew Halls so very worthy to receive the honorary degree of Doctor of Education.
University, it gives me great pleasure to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Education, Honoris Causa. Many congratulations.
Mr. Andrew Halls will now reply to convocation.
I'm really grateful to the University of Buckingham for inviting me to accept an honorary doctorate. When Professor Barnaby Lennon and Professor Tooley wrote to me, I felt enormous surprise. In fact, I felt an utter imposter, and of course, like all imposters, I was therefore delighted to accept. So thank you. And I do also want to say thank you so much to Barnaby Lennon, because he was the best headmaster I worked for, and I worked for plenty in my time as a teacher, and I learned a great deal from him. So it's so nice to be able to say that where he's making such a success here at Buckingham. I just thought I'd give you a few thoughts about, because you're, as I see rather, as others have said, Professor Tooley particularly, you are a future waiting to happen. You're all going out with these great degrees and outcomes, and you're going out to shape the world. And I want to encourage you to think of the world of teaching, but also how it could be different. A friend of mine who's an educationist at Sheffield University said he liked to give children a list of careers: brain surgeon, prime minister, nurse, scientist, teacher, lawyer, diplomat, and so forth, and ask which they thought was the most important. Very few children ever chose teacher, but my friend would then point out to them every single person in all of those other professions reached what they achieved because of a teacher. For over 40 years, I've been a teacher or a head teacher within the independent sector. But I went to state schools as a boy with my secondary years at a very big comprehensive in Birmingham. And partly because of that, and partly through my work with the maintained schools that we partnered with at King's, and partly through my year answering readers' questions in the Sunday Times a few years ago, I came to realise that the system that works quite well for so many pupils at highly academic schools like King's is disastrous for others. And there is now beginning to be some questioning about what it is in the secondary sector that could be different. But it's never really explored with any passion. And we always revert to the system we have. But we shouldn't, because we have some extremely significant problems. Why does the UK have some of the worst social mobility in the developed world? According to Goldman Sachs research in 2022, the most disadvantaged in the UK are less likely to climb the income ladder than those in almost all other developed countries. And in the UK, the economically advantaged stay at the top more than anywhere else. And that's why, after a decade of very high but often pointless school spending by the previous Labour government, and by the way, the last Conservative government seems to have been worse, but the UK was remarkable and alone among developed countries for having young people with lower levels of literacy and numeracy than their own grandparents. What an image that is of people not only not climbing the ladder, but slipping rung by rung over the decades down it. And for me, the greatest single issue is the way that so many children are turned off education in their early teens. Of the 500,000 16-year-olds who take GCSEs every year, about a third don't get what is now called a standard pass, a grade 4 in English and maths. It was never meant to be. There was going to be a 5, then they saw the first set of results and said, okay, right, a 4 is a pass. So now a 4 is the standard pass. And yet, nearly 200,000 16-year-olds every year don't get either. After 12 years in compulsory education, they cannot read or write English or cope with maths at a level deemed acceptable to the Department for Education. I think we have to go right back to the basics of what different children need. And it's ridiculous to think that everyone, everyone must follow a near identical syllabus. So I really hope, when I finish talking about this, some people think, oh gosh, that's a mission worth fighting, because at the moment it keeps not going anywhere. For the ablest children, the ones I'm more familiar with, GCSE content is often basic or dull. People like my teachers got around that by going beyond the syllabus. That works. Other schools pound the basics, force kids to do lots of tests, and bright children get bored or restless. But meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of boys and girls feel the system is stacked against them. One said to a researcher, "We fail so that others can pass," because obviously it's always the metric. It's about, 30% will not get a 4. Why don't we celebrate the difference in our children and do that in a radical way? Why should every child in the UK study roughly the same subjects? I love English and I'd love to teach everyone Shakespeare, but why does everyone have to do Romeo and Juliet if they hate it and they don't see any point whatsoever? I hate to hear myself say it, but I just think we have to start rethinking the way we teach. Why should everything be presented to them in an academic or pseudo-academic format? Why not at 13 in year 9 give children a choice between the traditional pathway of GCSEs, which probably the majority will take, and something quite different? A vocational curriculum should be offered into which love and good sense and funding has been poured. How fantastic if the so-called forgotten third, bored in the lessons where they know they're doomed to fail, if they even attend them. How fantastic if they could be opting for courses within their own school, properly taught, properly funded, properly designed, in AI or coding and engineering, tourism, entrepreneurialism, creative arts and music, sound recording, electronics, construction, catering, and so on. I return to that word choice because it's a choice made by the pupil with advice and support. It wouldn't be a return to the 11 plus by stealth. No child should feel they're not worthy of badging children as different, or at least it has been since grammar schools were brought to a near conclusion in the mid-70s. But what if children are different? What if this transformation to our system led to an explosion of sense and value and purpose? Courses in English language and maths would obviously run alongside this new option with certificates at the end. Traditional teaching would still exist for those tackling the new options, but within a school day that felt nothing like the 6 to 8 periods of academic study that fail 180,000 children every year. Uniformity is a terrible curse. Buckingham University is independent and it exemplifies independence. The same is true of the UK's world-beating independent schools, whose skill in bringing the best out of their pupils is under endless attack, but is the focus of extreme fascination from every other country in the world. It's easy to relapse into the consensus of uniformity, and yet to do so runs counter to everything we know about the manifold and beautiful distinctiveness of every human being and every child in this world. Thank you.
Chancellor, I call upon Professor Barnaby Lennon, Dean of the Faculty of Education, to present candidates for awards of the University of Buckingham in Education.
Andrew, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. I was a teacher for 40 years, and I still am. I'm in touch with my friends from school and university, and although some of them have made more money than me, I'm really pleased that after I left university, I decided to be a teacher. And I hope you have that feeling too. The joy of being able to stay close to a subject that I love. The discovery that I could continue through many years to develop my understanding of my subject, while taking on new responsibilities as the years ticked by. I never ever found teaching boring. I often found it riveting. Not many people say that about their jobs. The fun of working alongside like-minded colleagues, the everyday drama of school life, the terrible things some pupils do, the wonderful things some pupils do, the fact that few jobs have the capacity to make so much difference to the lives of people. In 30 years' time, most of your pupils will remember you. Many will remember a good deal of what you taught. Some will recall individual lessons and even specific things that you said in individual lessons. No one told me that that would happen when I did teacher training. I'm going to give you 2 examples now of pupils that I taught in the 1980s. So the other day I was at a drinks party in London. I didn't know anyone there. But there in the corner I could see Jacob Rees-Mogg, the tall, thin figure of Jacob Rees-Mogg, who I taught in 1982 when he was 13. He's now 55. He didn't know anyone else either, so he came loping over and he said, "Hi, Barney." That was a mistake. "I think you mean Professor Lennon Rees-Mogg." "Oh," he said, "I can remember a lesson you taught me where you described how to draw a graph with independent and dependent variables on the x-y axis. If I go up a mountain, the temperature falls with altitude against temperature." Now that was true, but that was 3 minutes of a lesson I had taught him in 1982, 42 years ago. All his life he's been thinking about dependent and independent variables. But Barney, he said, "Why does the temperature fall as I climb a mountain and I'm getting closer to the sun?" Rees-Mogg will leave that for another day. And then 2 weeks ago, I opened my copy of the Saturday Telegraph. And there was another long article by William Sitwell, not my best pupil, but he's now a writer and a very good journalist. He's 54. Horrified, I saw the line, "Barney Lennon taught me geography." Goodness sake, Sitwell, get a grip. "Barney Lennon taught me geography, but more importantly, how to structure essays. I'm grateful to him every time I hit the keyboard, so if you think I'm coming up short, blame him." Now, I taught him how to structure an essay in 1986. He hits that keyboard every day. That's his livelihood. So we are the key workers. We teachers, we may not be all especially wealthy, but we are, in one sense, so rich and so clever for having chosen a profession which leads to a life which is brimming with interest and full of moral purpose. So, Chancellor, I'm now going to present to you the graduates in education, starting with the degree of Master of Education in Educational Leadership and Management, Caroline Belling. Molly Christian. Paul Cohen. Katie Isabel Crowell with distinction. Dominic Kirby. Mark Steed. For the National Award for Special Educational Needs Coordination, Christina Bowles. Linda Michelle Griffiths. Anna Marina Jackson. For the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Constant Duan. Amy Greenwood with distinction. Hannah Luff. Rana Shahid with distinction. Emily Smith with distinction. Minal Tank with distinction. Madeline Wilcox with distinction. For the award of the Postgraduate Certificate in Education International, Sholpan Utevlinova. For the award of the Postgraduate Certificate in Education through School-Centred Initial Teacher Training, Rima Rafiq. Holly Alexander with distinction. Aliza Arshad. Gaspar Boateng with distinction. Molly Brunning. Alice Burnett. Joling Chu. Livia Margarita Corrie Watts with distinction. Nell Eliza Devlin. Shubhad Dwivedi with distinction. Toby Ellis. Keris Emery. Victoria Faries. Sadia Ferdas with distinction. Sophie Grady. Bonnie May Haggerty with distinction. Samuel Harris. Richard James Herbadge with distinction. Thea Grace Hausman. Patrick Hughes. Liban Hussein with distinction. Emily Kernahan. Mutahara Khatun. Nimra Kiani. Abby Loudon with distinction. Catherine Marsh. Agatha Parkeska. Oriane Pearson. Anissa Rakib. Jessica Sanford. Damien Georges Schneid. Elizabeth Squire. Award of the Scottish Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Alison Rudd with distinction. For the award of the QTS Prep Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Leshay Cynthia Teresia Domingo. Lauren Longstaff with distinction. For the award of the Primary QTS and Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Catherine Mary Atkinson with distinction. Charlotte Blackburn Pantelli. Hannah Crowe with distinction. Rebecca Bancroft Jewell. Khadija Nadal. Christina Hoynoyan with distinction. Scarlett Primrose. Philippa Ritchie with distinction. Angel Shipley. Patagay Tucker. For the award of Secondary QTS with Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Rebecca Dennis with distinction. Ashley Eade with distinction. William Hartley with distinction. Jodie Hobson with distinction. Edward Keeler with distinction. Madeline McKinley with distinction. Rebecca Nemorin. Lauren Victoria O'Hagan with distinction. Tara Patel with distinction. Isabel Charlotte Pierce with distinction. Elise Maybell Dixon Piggott with distinction. Noel Siverdine with distinction. Simeon Thorne with distinction. Gilly Topping with distinction. Grace Isabella Rose Spong with distinction. Lisa Harwood with distinction. Dominique Marion Munanoka with distinction. For the award of the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, QTS International, Claire Louise Rees with distinction. Adam Royal with distinction. For the award of the Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, Felix Barras. For the award of the Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, School-Centred Initial Teacher Training, Rahat Chowdhury. For the award of the Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, Primary, Lisa Matlock. For the award of the Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, Secondary, Yasmin Karazanian. Amy Wathen. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation.
The Chancellor will now conclude this ceremony.
Thank you. As the registrar has just said, this ceremony is now drawing towards its close. May I be the first to congratulate all our new graduates and again wish you all good fortune in the next stage of your careers. As you leave the university, you will take with you, wherever you go and throughout your life, the knowledge you've acquired here of educational theory and practice, equipped with the skills and knowledge to rescue young minds from the pain and tyranny of ignorance, flying on your own wings, as our university motto has it. And now you have worked hard throughout your careers, your teachers have worked hard, and your parents, friends, sons, daughters, cousins, supporters have also supported you all the way. So how about a round of applause from you to them? Thank you. May I say it was also a great pleasure and privilege to confer upon Andrew Halls the honorary degree of Doctor of Education and to listen to the very interesting and important things he had to say about the need for diversity in education. The new government has announced it's undertaking a general review of the national curriculum, which is overdue. I think the last one was done in about 2015, and I do hope they will have the good sense to invite Andrew to take part in that review. This ceremony is now concluded. Thank you.
Please be upstanding.